Welcome to Energy Linguist, a sacred space for awakening souls ready to learn how language shapes consciousness and discover what energy has been speaking all along. I am Laura Ahern, the Energy Linguist, a spiritual channel and the founder of Linguistic Consciousness Studies. In this podcast, I share divine transmissions and teach you to decode the language shaping your consciousness so that you can heighten your intuition, claim your calling, and learn to create consciously instead of unconsciously. Take a breath. This is where unconscious creation becomes creative mastery. Welcome to the Energy Linguist podcast. I am your host, Laura Ahern, the Energy Linguist, and I am so excited to be with you today to share these divine transmissions and to teach you on these expansive concepts. Today, we are going to be exploring how your language is actively creating your reality. And more than that, how it's shaping the very identity you believe yourself to be, so that you can begin to recognize the unconscious creation that's happening inside of you right now and start reclaiming your power as a conscious creator. So I want to begin by asking you something. What did you say about yourself this morning? What did you say about your day or your world? Maybe about your relationships, your interactions. And maybe not out loud, but in your being, this held expectation, inner dialogue that exists within your more subtle field. In those quiet moments before the day started, I want you to just draw your awareness into what the expectation was. Or maybe it was in the middle of your morning routine where you can pinpoint where you were on a vibrational level of what you were thinking, feeling, or expecting, what you were literally claiming under the surface. This question and inquiry is to draw you into asking yourself, what did I decide? What did I predetermine? Because here's what I need you to understand before we go any further today. You are always deciding. Your language is always moving, and it's always building something. So the question has never been whether your language is creating your reality. It is creating your reality right now, both externally and internally. And it was before you pressed play on my podcast, and it will be even after we're together today. And so the question really is whether you're doing it consciously. Because the truth is, most of us are not. And that's not a failure. It's actually a default. Our systems in our human body, our human efficiency, they're extraordinarily efficient. It's why so much of our system runs automatically so that our energy can be placed on other things. What happens as it pertains to our language is that the majority of us have never been taught that our language is not just communication. And what I am here to teach you is that language is actually construction. Language is the framework through which your consciousness then shapes everything you experience as real. And this is what I teach inside my linguistic consciousness method. That language is the framework. It shapes and reframes our consciousness. And it is consciousness, that very consciousness, that is formed by what we speak. that creates everything we experience as real. But what lives inside that framework? What is actually being shaped? That's where it gets profound. And that's what I want to begin opening up for you today. I have developed a body of work called The Conduit of the Mind, an expansive exploration of the intricate web of energies that make up your field. The nuanced interplay between your spirit, your mind, and your body, and how that web in its totality is determining your experiences, your outcomes, and your path. And we'll go deep into that together over time. But today, I want to pull on one of those threads because it's the one most people have never been shown, and it changes everything once you see it. Inside what I call the conduit of the mind, we hold thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and identities. And these aren't just psychological categories. They are energetic structures. They live in your field because you are energy. And they have weight, frequency, and creative power over your reality. They are also being spoken into form by your language, whether intentional or unintentional. But where does that language come from? That's the question. There are two centers I want you to understand because together they form the axis of your creation. The first is your heart center. Your heart field is not simply where you feel love or loss. It is the seat of your soul self. It holds what I call your God truth, the vibrational blueprint of who you actually are beneath every story you've collected about yourself, every conclusion that you've made about your experiences. Your heart knows. It has always known. It knows when you are living in alignment with your true nature and when you are not. In fact, evidence of us as a collective, especially in the United States, living out of alignment with our true nature is apparent in the fact that the number one leading cause of death in the US is heart disease. Nearly 1 in 5 deaths is due to this heart disease, this heart lack of vitality. That is our proof of a society living out of alignment with their truest self. That is the physical expression of that disconnect. And when we are not living in alignment with our true nature, when we're holding truths that are misaligned with the God truth of who we are, an extraordinary amount of pain gets generated within our lives. Yes, within our physical experiences, but also within our emotional and our mental experiences, because it's a true disconnect from our spiritual core. And that pain is not meant to be a problem. It's actually a signal. It's your soul speaking the only language it has left when everything else has been tuned out. The second energy I want to share with you is your throat chakra. This is your creation center. It is where your freedom lives, your choice, your capacity to manifest. What you speak, internally and externally, is not expressing your reality. It's actually constructing it. It's building it. It's creating it. Every declaration you make about who you are, about what is possible, about what things mean, what you deserve, it's not a description. That is architecture. Now, here's where it becomes urgent. Most people are speaking from the wrong center. They are creating from identity and from what I call in my book, The True Calling, misidentity. From the accumulated beliefs, wounds, decisions, and conclusions that they've gathered over a lifetime. They're creating even from language patterns that they've carried from their ancestors, rather than creating from the soul. And the tragedy of this is that they don't know they're doing it. Most of us are unaware because the language, it actually feels true because it's declarative. And because it becomes both internalized and externalized, it feels more like an observation than a choice. It feels like just being honest about who we are or how the world works. You see it in language such as, this is just the way it is, type of energy. But your language is never neutral. It is always either aligned with your God truth or building you further away from it. Many of us have been building ourselves a prison in which we are living within our own lives with this unconscious creator of our language. When your throat is expressing what your heart actually knows and is in alignment with this inner vibrational truth, that is conscious creation. And in fact, it is co-creation with God. You have accepted your mission and who you truly are, who God ordained you to be, and you're willing to create your world from that place of truth. However, when your throat is expressing your conditioned mind and what that mind has decided or concluded, simply in the regurgitation of what has been planted there, that is unconscious creation. It's wearing this costume of truth, a truth that really is not resonant with who you are at your core. And this is why what you say about yourself, what you say about your circumstances, what you say about the world matters beyond mindset alone. It matters beyond affirmations, beyond positive thinking. And it matters because somewhere inside you, your soul is listening to every word. And for most of us, we are battling against our own inner knowing, that inner truth of who we are. And that battle is ongoing every day. Your heart is feeling whether what you're speaking matches what you truly are at your vibrational core. And the distance between those two things, that gap, is where our suffering lives. It gives rise to unwellness and lack of vitality on all of these intricate experiences of our lives. This is where we are truly at war within ourselves. The invitation of this work is to close that gap, not through force, not through fixing, not by trying to change the external world, but through learning to internally speak from the place that already knows, the place that you know on a soul level you can trust. And this requires an extraordinary amount of unconditional self-love, which, if we're being honest with ourselves, then requires spiritual support, mentorship, and guidance to help us come home to ourselves. It takes recoding our consciousness, which is why I offer my Consciousness Recoded course in the Rise to help bring you back home to yourself, to the very power and the truth that exists within you. And if you want to learn more about this support, you can visit lauraahern.com. So today, I want to leave you with this. You came into this episode as someone who uses language. And I want you to leave it as someone who understands that language has been using you. And it will continue to use you until you decide otherwise. It will use you until you decide to be conscious, aware, and intentional about it. And that takes conviction. It takes practice. It takes patience and a ton of self-compassion, which is why I hold containers to support souls through this evolution. This is not a small thing. This is the whole thing. Because the moment you truly grasp that every word you speak or express internally or externally about yourself is either building you towards your God truth or away from it, you can never unhear that. You can't go back to believing your inner narrative is just a noise. It's not noise. It's instruction. Your consciousness is receiving that instruction and building your world accordingly every single day, every single moment. And somewhere beneath it all, beneath the decisions you made about yourself when you were young, beneath the beliefs you inherited that never belonged to you, beneath the identity that got constructed out of everything that happened to you instead of everything you actually are, your heart already knows what's true. It's been waiting for you to decide on your behalf. It has been waiting for your spirit to awaken to this power you hold. And it's been waiting for your intentional use of language to catch up to what you truly are. So here is what I want you to sit with. Not to analyze, not to fix, just to feel. What have you been saying about yourself or your life as a whole that your soul knows isn't true? Let that question move through you to unveil the truth. Let it do its work. Give it time. Because that's where it begins. Not in a new strategy, not in a new story that you're trying to force yourself to believe. It actually begins in the willingness to notice the gap between what you've been speaking and deciding and what you actually are. That gap has a name and it has a way through. If you're ready to start learning the language of your soul, to be trained in reading the energy speaking through your life and creating consciously from that truth, I invite you to begin with the rise. The link is in the description. It has been an honor to be here with you today. And until we meet again, trust what you know, honor what you feel, and watch your language, because it is creating everything. Thank you for receiving these messages with an open heart. If you're ready to trust your intuition, read the energy speaking through your life, and claim the calling waiting for you, it's time to begin with the rise. Through the rise, you can become trained in Honorea Reiki, the first sovereign woman-channeled Reiki lineage in history, and receive a full year of healing, mentorship, and community. Visit lauraahern.com/rise to find out more. Everything you need to know is already speaking to you, and I can teach you to translate it. Until next time, trust what you feel, honor what you know, and watch your language. It's creating everything.